Hi, everybody on the internet. It's RPG Grandma, and we are continuing our virtual role playing game discussion. Why is the DM talking so much? This is a question. And it applies to the table in person gaming, not just, the Hollywood Squares or the disembodied voice scenario of virtual playing. So, why does the DM talk so much? That's a fair question, though I would think if you've played role playing games for a while, you would sort of have a clue. But let's go over it in case you're new to role playing gaming or you just starting virtual gaming and the structure of virtual gaming it might seem a bit too rigid for you. So let's go over that. In the previous episode, which you should watch, I talked about how you're building a group mind, a group imagining, okay, a gestalt. And everybody's minds are different. And that's why listening is important. So first you got to take that idea. Now we're going to pair it with what is the role of the dungeon master or the referee. It's the setting. It's everything in the setting. Every monster, every trap, every piece of magic, everything, the weather, the buildings, the spaceships, then all that stuff. Not just the challenges, not just plot hooks, everything. And they're responsible for moving the game along, and they're responsible for trying to make sure people are having a good diversion. That they want to come back to the table. That's responsibility, right? Yet they do it. They want to play the game. They have an idea they want to throw out there and see what the players do with it. Okay? So they're responsible for a lot. And I think any player who's played a while, who's honest with themselves, who doesn't want to be the guy in charge, the big cheese, the head cat herder, the dude with the rule book, knows that, and that's why they don't step up to the plate and DM. People who are incredibly dishonest with themselves and don't want to DM, but want to impose their will on the DM, will always freak out when the DM finally just lays down the law and says, "Well, you're DMing next session because we wrapped this game up, and so now you can do the next campaign." They may know every rule of that game inside and out. Every monster stat, I swear, they got the monster manual memorized, the player's handbook memorized, the dungeon master's guide memorized. They should be able to make a game. Right? But they don't want to do that because they don't want the responsibility. It just comes down to that. They don't want the workload. If you are a player and you've never DM'd, talk to your DM. If you really want to be a good player, and ask them to help you learn how to DM. Just to do a one shot one time, or referee, whatever game you're playing. It will make you a better player. Being in somebody else's shoes, I guarantee it. So if you really want to be a good role player, you really want to quote win the game that you can't win, but do it well. I encourage people to learn. Pass the books and actually do the experience of running a game at least once in the role-playing career. Okay? So why do DMs talk so much? They are setting the scene. They are the first imagination that has to come out and step up to the plate and say, this is the vision. Now, when the vision is something everybody knows, say, original Star Trek TV series, The Bridge of the Enterprise, they don't have to say as much. But when the vision is something we really don't know about, they have to say more. Even if there's pictures, even if you have all the little tiles and stuff out on the board, and the DM has a cool piece of terrain, they still have to describe a lot more so that the rest of the minds involved in the game, aka the players, can start imagining all the same thing. And that requires patience from the players. Okay? They got to listen. Then after they're done listening, and trust me, DMs are trying to balance not talking too much. They are. Not giving out information the players don't need, because it slows down the game. With giving out information the players can use, all right, to create this imagery in their head, the imagining. Then the players will have questions. It's a fact. They always do. I'm a player, I know. Then starts gaining more information. So data's been put out. We've received it. We've inputted it. Now we're going to output ourselves. And this becomes a combination of actions and stating what we're doing, stating what we're looking at, and so on. That's the style of play we are currently playing in the game I'm in. There isn't, we're trying to avoid what, when, how, where, and can I's. Okay, we're avoiding that language, and we're using a slightly different language to make it, in our opinion, more immersive. We're doing a lot more first person. We're doing talking to each other. You know, if we're going to ask a what question, we're going to be like, what do you have in your backpack, Jace? And then Jace will say, oh, moo, I have blah, blah, blah. Okay? DM not involved in that, see? When we interact with the DM, we're trying to treat the DM like he's not there, and we're wandering around. I look at the rusty plate. I reach out and open the door and look into the room. Okay, that's my way of saying stuff. I pick up the book, I open the book, and then the DM speaks. That is what's going on in this communication process, and it does require a lot of patience, more patience, I think, in the virtual than it does when you're organically around a table, because you can have a little more. It's easier to read people's body language. It's you know, and if somebody's being a real jerk, somebody can poke them, physically poke them, you know. So that's what's going on. So you have to have patience when you watch a virtual role-playing table game of any kind, of any style, in my opinion. If you don't have patience to watch this this interconnection of communication and imagery building, and the DM explaining what's the physical world is like that these people are playing in, and then them exploring that, you're not going to find it enjoyable. It's just like if you don't have patience to watch the other end of the spectrum with the people moving minis around. If that's not your jam, you're not going to like that feed if that's the way they're doing stuff. So know yourself, but this is why DMs talk a lot, both at the table and in the virtual land. They're setting the scene. If they don't talk, we have no idea what's going on. And then we're playing a different game where we don't need the DM. So why is he there if we don't need him? What game are you playing? We went back to this in the previous episode. Is it the me game or is it the we game? So the we game, everybody's got to talk. Everybody's got to interact. Okay? And you got to listen to the DM. So that's the end of this session, or this segment